Good morning. The last video I did, there was a lot of things in there to prompt people to think. And a lot of you got it, some of you didn't. The trolls jumped in with their usual nonsense about the flag that's behind me. What colour should it be, whose it is, and all the rest of it. There was no corporate Australia when that flag was put in place. No matter what you think or want, there was no federal parliament. No one. So if the flag was put in place as a corporate flag, it was put in by somebody with no authority to do it. Was the red flag put in under the same conditions? Yeah, absolutely. Somebody put two flags there, the red one and the blue one. Big spiel on under the blue one about what they thought. Who cares? It's nonsense. It is not the truth. Why? Because it didn't exist. The red one, all the things you put under there, equal nonsense. Why? Because it was not the truth. Just because you say it, just because you want it, does not make it the truth. I tried to explain a long time ago to Stephen Spears or Sears or whatever he called himself. He didn't want to know. He didn't want to know about why the St. George cross was on the crown. It made the British monarchy Catholic. That's a lie. Why? This is a book on English history. It is the life of William III and Mary Queen of Scots. The conditions they had to comply with to become the King and Queen of England. Straight in the middle of the revolution of the 1600s. There was no Catholic crown. There never was a Catholic crown. There never is or was a Protestant crown. There was no religious crown. To say that is stupidity. Now, this book, the King James Bible, original version, which this is, not this particular one, it's 18 years younger than me. I got it for my 18th birthday. Now, this book was put in place in 1611. Sorry about the slight interruption. It's shutting down now, so it's finished. I should have done it and forgot. This was put in place in 1611 with the letters patent by King James. Was he a Protestant king? No, he was a Catholic king. Interesting. It was a translation that he ordered from the text that nobody could understand because it wasn't English, to the text that people could understand, which was English. It is Old English. Read it, understand it. Quite easy when you're used to reading that. So, what happened then? There was a revolution in England. Back to this book. It says so. What was the revolution about? The division in England between the Catholics. And look at that, the Catholics. The Catholics had a revolution amongst themselves. Why? Because they were sick of the rhetoric from the Pope that he was God on earth. Now it comes out, he's a representative of God on earth. No, he's not. Neither. Depends which God you're serving. You can say what you like, you can think what you like. Go back in history and study your history. You need to. Now, before I got too far into the last video, I explained, here's the proper constitution of the Commonwealth of Australia, the Commonwealth Constitution Act, put in place and proclaimed on the 9th of July 1900. So everything before that wasn't lawful was gone. Your Police Act, Transfer of Land Act, and the Constitution Alteration Act of Western Australia. 3 of the main ones that went. A whole heap went. But there was only ever 7 legislative areas exercisable by the Australasian Council, and even less by the colonies. And all 7 are contained in Section 51 of the Constitution. What I didn't say, and I expected people would pick up on but didn't, that's fine. I don't expect everybody to have a brilliant mind. I don't have one either. I'm learning still. You must comprehend what is going on around you. You need to look at what's said, apply it to what's going on. If Section 51... No, give it back here. I want it here for a reason. If Section 51 of the Constitution doesn't authorise authority over land, and it doesn't, then there is none. It does allow the federal parliament, not the states, to take land, acquire land on just terms for public use. Just terms for public use is not some person or human or man or woman or whatever they align to in any council, state parliament, anything else. Can those authorities be delegated to the states? No. Why? It's exclusive federal parliament. You know, people have to comprehend their constitution. The government says it, and everybody jumps. They're not a government, they're a parliament. The Legislative Council and the Legislative Assembly are the legislature. They are there for one purpose: debate and pass legislation according to the authority granted by our Constitution. You must understand that if we're going to take this country off the thieving liars calling themselves a government. There is a 3-tier system of government. I know McGowan says he's the head of the executive government. No, you're not, McGowan. You're a liar. You lied. You're lying to the people. Someone says, oh, where does Wikipedia come from? That particular thing came out of the mouth of McGowan. He's a dictator, like Dan Andrews in Victoria, another peanut who thinks he has the authority to stand over the people when he's there to serve the people, not rule over them. Anybody, any religious person, and there's plenty of them, go straight to the book of Romans and say you've got to do what they tell you because God put them there. That's a lie. This book is the King James Version of the Bible. NIV changes enough of that to make out what you're saying. So it's a lie. NIV Bible's a lie? No, not a lot of it. But quite a few things have changed to give authority to the Parliament pretending to be a government. So that you've got to do what you're told. You've got to pay your taxes. The Bible doesn't say that at all. It says actually, in reference to that, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar, render unto God that which is God's. Who do you belong to, God or Caesar? You choose. Who's Caesar? Satan. Oh, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in Satan. Good. Get off my post. Get off my post. I'm not going to waste time talking to people who don't look at reality, who don't want to know. You can come on here. I'm not telling you to go away for that. Because I'm telling you because I'm sick of the stupid comments. See, I played you a little bit. Just a little. But I'll go back to what I'm saying. I showed you the proper Commonwealth Constitution Act. I explained that allowed us, by the vote of the people, to put a Commonwealth Constitution in place. Our Constitution. The restrictions from that Act are the restrictions on our Constitution. It can only ever be altered. If you add another chapter like the purported Prime Minister says, that's changing it. You add 129 Section 129, to give a voice. That's changing it. So it doesn't matter which way the vote goes. Don't vote. What part of don't you understand? Some bloke said, oh, what can the millions of people in this country do? I said, first, look at the mirror. Point at the mirror and say, what can I do? You put it on me, I put it back on you, because it starts with you, not me. I look in the mirror. I look and now and I think, what can I do to get up the nose of the government today? Because they're wrong. What do you do? Oh, how's nice is my hair? Can I put on my makeup? Depends which way you're inclined or what you actually align to. Do you give one thought for this country every day? Do you? When I put it to you about the flag, I said 6 stars. What for? See who took notice. This is the one, and look at that little one there, the small one. All the others have 7 stars. I said 6. One person picked up on it. Maybe others did and didn't comment. Good. But the reason I'm showing you that little star is 5-sided. It's a pentagram. Satanic symbol added to our flag. When was it? After 1964. Up until then, it didn't exist there. It was a 7-sided star like everything else, as it should be. What colour should it be? Go back to what I'm going to say, because I'm going to repeat what I put before. What I put before is, here's now the state constitution of Western Australia. The original one. The one should have been put in place. The one the state parliament put in place was an unlawful one. Had 32 sections missing. That knocked out everything. Knocked out the state of Western Australia. So we ended up with 5 states instead of the 6 needed to set up a federal parliament. It's the representatives of each of the states. Someone come back and said, and Western Australia if they really want to. And then I explained Queen Victoria issued an order that Western Australia was to become part of the Commonwealth of Australia. She didn't ask, she told. And that order is on the wall of the Church of England in Perth. It is there, it is official, it is lawful. So Western Australia was there. So what I said is correct, which is what I put to the court, which is what this SC and all the other clowns in the court suddenly realised. If this goes to trial by jury, the jury is handed the Constitution to determine our law. They will be given a copy of the Commonwealth Constitution Act 1900 UK, a copy of the Constitution for Western Australia, and a copy that they put in place with 32 sections missing. They will be referred to different sections of the Constitution which explain exactly what I'm saying. There has never been a lawful federal parliament. We've got other people that want to all deal around 1972-73. What a waste of time. Why would you just pull out a book? This is a book on British history, important book. Open it up and say, I'm starting here. Why would you do that? Why would you ignore all of that so that you could put your version of that? That's exactly what you're trying to do. So, Brian, I got nothing against you. The work you've done, the research you've done, second to none. What I have got against you is there is no good ship lollipop. This country was created by people, living, breathing men and women. The Sunken Land Act, none of that existed. If you go back to January the 1st, 1901, and nobody has picked up on the idea, if there weren't 6 states, there was never a Commonwealth Parliament. If Western Australia never put a state constitution in place, there never was a Western Australian Parliament. Somebody come on and said, what about all the other states? What about all the other states? I did address that. New South Wales in August 1902 removed its constitution, put another one in place. Their state disappeared. Queensland removed its upper house. Their state disappeared. South Australia and Tasmania removed their constitution and replaced them. Those states disappeared. Victoria removed its. Those states disappeared. Where did you get the conferral of the parliaments of the states concerned to give permission to the federal parliament, which never existed at Federation, for the Australia Act? There's the Australia Act gone down the toilet. The own act is an oxymoron. Do lawyers know it? They've got to turn the lights back on. There's no one home in here. Loco and the cocoa, as some of my kids used to say. There is nothing between the ears. If you cannot see what is in front of you, your perception of what you're reading is zero. You say, oh, because of my age, I'm a self-litigant, it's not in the public interest. It's not in your public interest, but it is in you people's public interest that the truth comes out. That you go back to January the 1st, 1901. I heard something yesterday that really got me angry for two reasons. There's going to be today, apparently, at the War Memorial at Kings Park, Anzac Day service. And somewhere else, there's going to be another Anzac Day service for Aboriginals. Why? The people who decide to have a separate one, I'll address that first, that is a divisive thing you've put in place. You didn't fight as a separate group of people. Everybody fought as Anzacs, Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. There were people that were here that were still attached to England, to every country that they came from. They got up and fought. Everybody fought alongside themselves. They didn't run up the beach and say, oh, you Aboriginal people stay there, white people stay here. Just shoot these, we want to get rid of these first, then you can shoot those, or the other way around. Nothing of that happened. Why is some fool, because you're brain dead to do what you've done, allowing this to happen? Why would you do that? The Aboriginal people are not better than white people. The white people are not better than Aboriginal people. If you're going to celebrate something that happened, then do it together. If you wanted it in a different place, why didn't you go to the people? Why didn't you go to the people? Anzac is be vigilant, lest we forget. Lest we forget what? Every single living man and woman that served in the military, whether they were black, white, brindle, yellow, green or whatever. Why do you segregate them? Why do you allow it to happen? Because we got a moron for a prime minister, because he's not one anyway. A primary fool is about what he is. He was reported to want to give $2 trillion away to some of the island nations because of emissions we let out. Turn it around. Most of those island nations came from volcanoes. So we're going to take all the money off them, kick them off their islands, make them go live in the Antarctic somewhere and rub sticks together to get warm, because their volcanoes that created their islands put out more emissions in the first time they exploded than man has ever done across this earth. So why are we paying them when they should be paying us? There is no climate control. That's a lie and nonsense. Now, the reason I'm doing what I'm doing, because I'm sick of a lot of things. People bring up the flag. Was the video about the flag? No, it wasn't. So, it wasn't. Why did you bring it up? Divisive. Why? Oh, look at me, I know all about the flag. No, you don't. Because if you listen to what I said, until all the state constitutions are back in place. Wouldn't matter if you went up with a piece of Hessian bag, because no flags were lawful. Did they have the right to send the people there against their will? No. So that was murder. Why aren't you addressing the issues that arise from the broken laws, our broken constitution, instead of addressing what these people have done to Australians? If you're born here, you're an Australian. I don't care what colour you are. If you're born here, you're an Australian. I explained how Queen Victoria put Aboriginals in the state constitution long before the Commonwealth Constitution was put in place. It is the coming together of all the states who are bound by those constitutions. It's the coming together that form the Commonwealth. Someone says, Queen Victoria never owned the land. Who owned the land? Where does it say Queen Victoria actually owns the land? Where does it? Who owns the land? The crown. Whose crown? God. Do you believe in God? Oh yeah, you do. You go and talk to some of the tribal elders, not to these First Nation dreamers who just popped up the last few years, or originals, because you were neither. You were never a nation, and you were not the originals. Were you here before white men? Yeah. Should your, and I've said it time and time again, should your sacred sites be looked after? Yes. But don't drop a chop bone in the middle of a desert and say we own all that area because that's where we had a corroboree. Because it doesn't gel. It has to be followed by evidence. You have to prove that that bone is human and what took place there, because it was a tradition for certain tribes to dig a hole in a river and stand the bodies upright. There was another to burn them. There was another to bury them somewhere else. So where did the bones come from? You must investigate it so the truth is there. When the truth is there, it's compelling beyond anything else that's said. Because truth overrides the lies. Is it a lie? Well, if you're pushing something you haven't checked, of course it's a lie. Why would it be anything else? I didn't come to cause dissension. I didn't come to stir you up. I want you to open your eyes to a fact. This country was never, ever completely constituted. The Constitution created, under 107, 108, 109, the 6 states. It would take, in accordance with 106, every single state to put its constitution in place according to the letters patent in relation to that constitution. 6 states, 6 letters patent, none of it interfered with. Somebody come up with the idea, well, there was a dispute. Western Australia didn't go into it. Look, the dispute is written on the walls inside the old hall at Boulder in Western Australia. It's in the museum. If they remove it, they're removing history, and if they'd only do it for one reason, to lie. No other reason. What I'm trying to say to you, until you go back to January the 1st, 1901, I'm not saying change the whole of society. I'm saying go back, put all the state constitutions back in their original form without lying, and then, as a result of that, create the first lawful federal parliament, because we've never had one. So there's no conscription, there's no preferential voting, there's no political parties, there's no lawyers and judges running our courts. Lawyers posing as judges, no lawyers as politicians. Why? Because they're condemned by the common law as liars, thieves, deceivers of the people. And they do. Look at Mr. SC. I haven't used his name and I'm not going to. He lied I can get you the 3 letters, read them to you and explain why each one's a lie. One of them was the bail bond, and he related to that, and his excuse was, oh, when you get charged again, your first offence comes up. No, you're a liar. It is against the law for you to put anything on any document that goes before a judge or magistrate that shows you've got a previous record of any kind, if you had one or not. That was a 2011 case where a little weasel French guy, pretending to have authority on my property, in the middle of winter, I had a big cleared space and I was burning rubbish. He wanted to go over there and check the rubbish. It was on my property unlawfully. I did nothing to him until he pushed me with his chest. I said, don't do that. And he did it. So I grabbed him, took him to his car, opened the door, put him in and shut the door. He lied in court, reckoned I squashed his foot. If I squashed his foot, he wouldn't be able to walk for a month if he ever had a foot again. If I was going to assault him, I would have put this in his little face, which was smaller than my fist. I did not. But the magistrate ignored everything I put to him, ignored decisions of the High Court, which proved he had no right of entry, and said, oh, under the Bushfires Act. It's the middle of winter, you moron. The grass was about 18 inches high, half a metre. But it was a 40-foot circle. And his own photo showed the smoke was going up. But over the back of my property is the clown who works for the council. Billy Good here, he's burning something. They come out there and he reckons I was burning wheels and tyres. It's all a lie. I was burning some lengths, about that round, of palm tree, and they smoked. But they weren't smoking bad because it was a calm day. So that was all a lie. So based on that, that is what you referred to. I had a criminal offence from that. The other thing that comes up on my record is a speeding fine, where I went to court and proved using Pythagoras theorem, 3, 4, 5 method of a right angle, that when the car travels the last 3 metres and the camera is 4 metres off the road, it's saying you travel 5. I did all the maths, all the plans, give it to the magistrate, he agreed. But then, nice little prosecutor who is there entirely to collect money for the morons we employ. He was there for that. Jumped up and said, what about Section 98 of the Road Traffic Act? It says the speed recorded from the speed recording device is deemed to be prima facie evidence of an offence and can't be disputed. So it doesn't matter if you ever prove the cameras are lies, you've lost before you start. That's why I say, be nice to your mother, pay the fine and stop speeding. Even if you're not speeding, and I wasn't, I proved exactly what speed I was doing. The camera operator lied. The road curves, and as it curves towards the camera, it speeds up. Apply Pythagoras theorem. Do your maths. It's there. You can't lie against the facts. But they did. So the magistrate said, you're not getting any costs. You just pay the infringement. I paid the infringement, walked out. It's not worth appealing. No one's going to listen because the government said that law is there. I didn't want to get involved in a huge big thing. I did it to prove Pythagoras theorem proves the camera's never right. The only way a camera can be right, any camera, don't care which ones you've got, don't care what computer you've got calculating it, unless that camera is sitting in the middle of the road, aimed on your number plate, which it's recording off. You didn't like that, did you? But that's where it comes from. It's got to ride up and down wherever your car goes on the road as it's coming towards you to get the correct speed. Now, if your law is precise, it'll give that correct speed. You want to argue it, that's fine. Prove that that's not correct, that's fine. But the cameras are never accurate. That's why in federal law, you've got to be doing 68 Ks now before they can book you. Why do they book you at 63, 64? Oh, we generously give you a couple of Ks. No, you don't. No, you don't. You do it to save face and deter people from appealing. But how dare you issue a fine? You're not a court. Not one of you are a court. So you can't issue a fine. You can take the person to court, allege they committed an offence, if they say, oh yeah, I was speeding. To do that, you've got to pull them over, but you don't want that. You want click, money, click, money, click, money, click, money, which is all you do. You pull people over doing that, driving down their road that they paid for, and you're employed there to look after us. I saw it the other day. I thought, you pack of scum. You're on the central lane, you direct the traffic over the left-hand lane, you blocked a major highway coming out of Geraldton for this. The corruption to collect money for that liar, McGowan, to go to China and have a good time. What else is he doing with the money? It's not going to where he says. Oh, look at what he's doing. He's finally going to give you 1 day a week on a Sunday a free trip on his buses and trains so they'll get used. What about we stay home and spend time with our kids and muck around, go to the beach? Why do we have to get on your trains? And why don't people with a senior card, they can travel on them anyway? So what are you talking about, McGowan? More rubbish, look at me, I'm a good boy. No, you're a liar, you're a fraud, and you're a traitor. And you have overturned the Commonwealth Constitution Act with your attitude, with the creation of an entity known as the state, that removes the Crown, that removes all our rights. And is that true? Yeah. You were told at the time. It's going to come back and bite you on the butt. It is. It's chewing away at it at present. Oh, that's a gross thought. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, you're nothing but a pack of lying traitors. You did overturn the Constitution. You created something that doesn't exist in our Constitution. The Constitution, beginning, end. The only rights you can exercise are in there. You exercise outside there, they don't exist. So I would ask you to have a good look. If there was no law since January the 1st, 1901, at federal level, no flags are valid. So stop arguing something that's not arguable. When we get our country back, we, the people, all of us, have an input into what colour our flag is, what the colours would be. If it's going to incorporate Thursday Islanders and everything else, that's fine. But it has to be from the people. Nothing to do with what you think. Our diggers, our Anzacs fought under that. I don't know what they fought under. I wasn't there, nor do you. You weren't there. You're taking the word of others. Is it true? I don't know. I didn't even bother to look. Why would I look? As far as I knew, my father joined the army, and I know he joined 3 times because I did all his paperwork when he passed away. And I know he did. He fought for the country. He volunteered. What about the people who didn't? Why were they forced to fight? That's not fighting for your country. That's going there and getting killed because some idiot picked a fight with somebody else when they had no right to. We have an army to defend our country. We have an obligation, because we're a self-governing colony of England, to go and fight with the British. You have no right, nor does even the Queen, to breach our Constitution, or King, or anybody else. Nobody has that right. The Constitution binds the Crown. Read it. Interesting? Time to wake up. We have the strongest Constitution in the world. We need to apply it to help people. The people who don't want to fight. There's plenty. But the people who do want, even in Vietnam, I wanted to go and they didn't. I just was disregarded. Oh, my number didn't come up. My letter didn't come up. Whatever. No matter what we did, your letter had to come up. Why? Because somebody else decided they had the right to pick. No, you didn't. We are sovereign and supreme in this country. The government is neither sovereign nor supreme. They are subject to the law. Parliamentary privilege does not get them out of the criminal offences they've committed. You can say it does, but it doesn't. Some clown lawyer said to me the other day, oh, the courts say you don't know anything about the Constitution. But the courts who are saying it don't know anything about the Constitution themselves, or they wouldn't be sitting there. And you wouldn't be there if you knew it. How much do I know about the Constitution? I show people how much I know. Everything? No. The law? No. But you demonstrate daily you know nothing about it. Nothing about the law either. Because what you're operating under is statutes, and that's not law. They haven't been ascended to lawfully under our Constitution. It's not law. If it's a federal law or statute, it doesn't exist. Because we have no lawful federal parliament. Wake up. Tell Albanese and his Australian Electoral Commission, which is nothing but blatant treason, they're not having a referendum. He couldn't propose it if he wanted to. Not under 128 or anything else. Go back to your Constitution. It's not citizens initiated referenda. It's Australians. If you don't initiate it, it can't exist. It can't exist. And it must be done state by state by state to make sure a majority of people in a majority of states pass it. How do you do that when it's all dumped into the Australian Electoral Commission, ignored, and yeah, we got it, or no, we didn't? That's what they say. And in relation to local government, we said no to the continuance and no to the establishment. Why have we still got it? Because we got liars for politicians who all work for their political parties for this. They are not even officers of the Crown, so they're not officers of the Commonwealth. The High Court ruled that. Ask Ruth Cheatham if she's still there, or Denise Waybury. Ask them. We filed writs of mandamus. They couldn't go through because no one in the state parliament was officer of the Commonwealth. Hang on. If they swore the lawful oath to the Crown, they would have been, but they didn't. They just proved it, but they wouldn't file the document anyway. Wake up, people. Look at what I said in the video. I don't know everything. I'm not claiming to. Read your Constitution. You want to ask me questions on it, I'll read it to you over the phone. I don't care. You need to understand or comprehend, either way you like it. You don't stand under anything I say. You comprehend it by standing or whatever. It's just a colloquial expression. Who cares? Comprehend what I say. You are the authority, no matter what your colour. The people that were here before us were not the originals. They were not sovereign nation. They never were any of that. But they were here before us. Everything they had or did that could be proven must be granted to them, like the sacred sites. Their law that I get from talking to the elders is the land owned them. So how did they own the land when the land owned them? How do we own the land when the land owns them? We purchase it through a reasonably just system, if it was the correct system. But judges work against it because the government thinks they own it. What a pack of liars. Anyway, you have a good day. Think about what I said. Put the flag issue out of your mind until we have the original Constitution for this state in place and every other single state, so that we can have a lawful federal parliament. So the issues you want to raise are not your idea, not my idea, but our idea. You comprehend that? Not mine, not yours, but ours, because it's our decision. If our diggers fought under the red flag, the blue flag, or any other flag, that's what they did. You cannot say, because they did that, that becomes a lawful flag. No, they had no right to be there. What I'm saying, the Parliament, pretending to be a government, had no right to send them. They went there, they fought. I'm taking nothing from them. I'd be taking it from my grandfather, my uncles, my dad, his dad, and all the other dads and uncles, granddads and everything else. And I wouldn't do that. Those people need utmost respect. They fought for this country. That's why I'm annoyed that the Aboriginals have been segregated from that service. Why does it have to be in Kings Park? That's where we traditionally do it. Why? If the Aboriginals want it somewhere else and they approach you, why can't they have it where they want it as well? Why not? It goes to bigotry, and that's all it is. It's not racism, we're all the same race. So you have a lovely day, just think about it.